Alright, Nutrition Challenge participants. This video is in order for those of you who can't make it to the Nutrition Q&A or just need a reference for what each of the scoring categories are, what will count, what doesn't count, how this kind of all works. So for the Nutrition Challenge this year, we are doing the same thing we did last year with a little bit of change in scoring categories and some of the stipulations on what will count and what won't count. What is still the same are the prizes. So top 3 are going to get rogue gift cards of differing values based on first, second, third. If I look here at my list, first place will get a $100 gift card, second place $75, and third place $50. Now, this is probably the only time that I will mention that because I would like for you to take those prizes as not the main goal. The main goal of this whole challenge and how I kind of wrote things was for this challenge to change your eating habits, change your relationship with food so that we can make some changes during these 6 weeks that are sustainable in your regular life, and this becomes your diet long term. So it's something that you hold on to as life goes on. Now, because of that, I hope that we are all winners in that regard and not necessarily just the 3 of us that get the most points over the course of the challenge. That being said, if you are getting a lot of points, chances are you're keeping things in check and you are doing exactly what I would like for you to do by the time that this is all over. So without further ado, I want to talk about our 6 categories this year. We have sleep, sugar consumption or lack thereof, real foods, which we'll explain here in a bit, vegetable consumption, exercise, and alcohol consumption or like sugar, lack thereof. So what you're gonna get sometime soon. I don't want to tell you exactly when because I actually don't know quite yet. I'm still working on some of these things, but you are going to get a digital copy of this score sheet that has your scoring app categories and then your score key, if you will. If you can tell, and this is mainly just for demonstration purposes, but every day will have its own column and every category has its own row. Within that Excel sheet, it will auto add for you. All you have to do is match whatever you did during the week with your corresponding points that are dictated by that score key. So at the end of the week, you will send me your copy of that week's Excel sheet. The date will also auto change as you do it, so that way I can keep track. Because of the fact that this is a challenge, there are prizes. I do ask that you log things, whether that be your sleep, the foods you eat, and then luckily because you are most likely a member of Overland Park CrossFit, I can see when you sign into class and when you log your stuff, so I can make sure that the exercise part is accurate. So last year I did not have to ask for any of those logs because everybody logged things pretty darn spot on. I would like to keep that a thing where I don't have to be like, oh, so-and-so is getting 100% of the possible points every single week for the last 3 weeks, which chances are, even if you eat perfectly, that is not going to apply to your life because, to be realistic, our first category, which I'll talk about, getting the max number of points means that you are sleeping 10 hours per day, and let's all be realistic, that's going to be extremely hard to attain for every single day across all 6 weeks. So without further ado, let's talk about sleep. Sleep will be dictated as a category from 1 to 9 points. You will get 1 point when you sleep for 6 hours. My favorite app to track all that stuff is the bedtime app on the iPhones. As far as I'm concerned, or I know, the Samsung has a similar app, so if you are an Android user, you should have something similar. Just need to know go to bedtime and wake time. That's really it. On the chance that you don't sleep a perfect 6 or 7 or 8 hours, I ask that you round up to the next category. They go in 30-minute categories, so 6.5 is 2 points, 7 is 3, 7.5 is 4, so on and so forth, up to 10 hours and 9 points. Our next category is sugar or lack thereof. You will get 1 point if you eat sugar in the amounts of 91 to 100 grams per day. This is something that you should use that fitness tracker. MyFitnessPal is my favorite for logging your foods. Try and do this as accurately as possible. I would suggest getting a food scale. They're $20, maybe $30 on Amazon. Super cheap. Doesn't have to do anything fancy. You don't need there's one that does like straight nutrition facts, like macros and all that stuff. You don't necessarily need that. You just need grams and ounces. That will get you by. That is more than enough, and it will be fantastic. So going back into sugar, this will be sugar that is added. If you have fruit sugar, you eat an apple, that sugar won't count. The low amounts of sugar in some of the vegetables that you eat, that won't count. It is any added sugars that are non-natural. So if it is anything that is not natural, those sugars will count towards your total. There's that 91 to 100 gram for 1 point, all the way down to 0 to 10 grams for 10 points. The next one is real foods. This is where we kind of change things just a little bit this year. I want to be a little bit more strict. I would like this to be even harder to attain, quote unquote, but it is your real foods. What I mean by real foods is foods that you can go out and pick from a garden, or straight chicken breasts. So I'm going to be a little bit more picky. If you can't pick it, you can't hunt it, you can't hunter-gather it, if you will, it will not count. So if it comes in a box, if it comes in a bag, unless it's like bagged spinach, those things won't count. Another good way to think about this is if it's not on the edge of the grocery store, chances are it doesn't count. If you think it doesn't count, it also doesn't count. Last year, we kind of allowed for some of us that travel a little bit of wiggle room in the fact of make healthy choices on the road as natural of foods as possible. We're kind of gonna cut that a little bit. So even if you have like a Chick-fil-A grilled chicken sandwich, there's grilled chicken, lettuce, tomato. Technically those would normally count, but because it's from a fast food restaurant, I'm not going to count those this year. I want you to know the source of your food. If you don't know the direct source, those foods won't count. If you have any questions on what counts and what doesn't, please let me know. I will try to clear that up for you, but think hunter-gatherer. If it doesn't fit in that mold, it will not count. That brings us to vegetables. This is our next kind of biggest one. Last year we had to go all the way up to 1,000 grams. We're not going to do that this year. Our max is going to be 800 plus grams at 10 points. 750 to 799 will net you 9 points, and you will start scoring at 350 grams of uncooked or pre-cooked vegetables. So if you're going to steam some broccoli, measure it before you throw it in your pan to steam. Those are your vegetables. I'm gonna have a list sometime soon of what vegetables will count, what will not, things that people normally associate as vegetables, and things that won't necessarily count. For example, potatoes. Potatoes won't count because they are mainly starch, they are mainly carb. I would like to get away from that. They're also super heavy. But just for reference, the reason that I use the 800 gram marker is a nutritionist named Nicole Acoyne. I would highly suggest looking her up and her philosophies. She has a philosophy that if you're eating 800 grams of vegetables per day, your ability to fill the rest of your day with quote-unquote crap is going to be extremely challenging. So eat 800 grams a day, you're going to do fantastic, and the rest of what is going on in your nutrition is going to kind of fall into place as needed. So that's vegetables. Again, if you have any questions on any of these, please let me know. Now, exercise, this one should be relatively easy. You're going to get 10 points for every single day that you exercise, up to 6 days per week. So it kind of encourages you to take at least one rest day, which is very important for your health. I know that can be hard for some of us, me included. I'm not perfect when it comes to that one, but every day in that week, you'll get 10 points for each day you exercise. So this is also encouraging for you to log stuff into Wodify, which helps me and us as a staff better help you get fit within the confines of the gym. Now, the last one, this is also new, just like exercise, is going to be alcohol consumption. So at the end of last year, if you were not a participant, we have a survey that goes out that will go out again this year. It'll be a little bit different. But I asked people, what would you like to see added if you could add something? And the single most prevalent answer, and almost everybody said this, was I want alcohol to be a part of it. So we have a lack of alcohol consumption category. If you have 7+ drinks as dictated by the FDA, so I believe that's 1 12-ounce beer, a 5-ounce pour of red or white wine, and then I'm not 100% sure on hard liquors, but there are guidelines. We will follow those guidelines as our rules for what counts as a drink or not, so that could be a mixed drink. But here's the kicker. If you're having a mixed drink like a Moscow Mule, a lot of what is in there is sugar, and that will also kick back to you on the sugar category. So make sure, again, that we're logging all that stuff so we know where we're at. Now, back to the alcohol stuff. 7+ drinks per week is going to net you 0 points, all the way down to 0 drinks per week, which is going to net you 75 points for that week. So this is kind of hefty, more so than exercise. If you would like me to break all that down, I can, but ultimately what I want you to think about is alcohol is meaningless calories, but they are still calories, so they get stored. You just can't really use them for anything productive. They also don't help with exercise recovery or general health. Even those wine antioxidant things that I know you want to fight me on right now, that's because that was what I would do. So if you guys have any questions on any of those scoring categories, please let me know. Again, you'll get that vegetable sheet sometime soon, probably when you get the rest of this. If you guys have any questions, please bring them to the Nutrition Q&A. And I think that's it. You also should have my email address. If you don't, grab me in the gym, grab one of the other coaches. They'll get you in touch with me, whether it be by email or by phone. Doesn't matter. But with that, I think I've covered everything I want to. And once more, if you have any questions at all, please let me know, and I will ask them to the best, or answer them to the best of my ability. All right, you guys have a good day, and I will see you January 20th for the beginning of our nutrition challenge.